Hello, this is Sierra and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video reading the last couple of chapters of Hermitcraft Genesis, chapter 17 and 18. Well, technically at book 2, which is Skizz's perspective. But yeah, and then we move on to book 3. So, yeah. This one might not be one of the strongest endings, but it is definitely something you should listen to because it's got big lore implications coming up. So, yeah. Well, maybe not, but it's just fun to listen to anyway. Just having a nice listen, just chilling. Yeah. Let's hope I can do this in 30 minutes. Chapter 17. Skizz's heart hammered rhythmically to the beat of his feet, charging down the steps. The dimly lit passageway growing gradually brighter and brighter as voices could be heard below. I've already told you all I know, someone insisted, followed by a grunt of pain. Someone else slapped up. Yeah. It's not a capitalization. I don't know what happened there, but whatever. You're clearly hiding something, boy, the unfamiliar voice snarled. I'm 18, Sam said plainly. You still know better than to side with traitors, another man scoffed. Now tell us where he is, or this one gets more. No, you really don't have to do that, Scar said quickly. Skizz fought back a growl, hearing how shaky his friend's voice was, and hating every second of it. He made it down the remaining steps as Impulse stopped Green from charging blindly into the room. Wait, Impulse hissed into the younger hermit's ear. Remember the plan? Green nodded, slipping behind the wall beside the older hermit, reluctantly watching the scene unfold. Skizz looked back, seeing Liam and Cade breaking out parts of the tunnel with a couple of pickaxes, disappearing from view. That's not your choice to make, the third voice sneered at Scar. Skizz peeked over. I don't know how he would have known he was sneering. Whatever. Nearly stumbling as he saw a table at the back of the room. Scar was strapped down, his wrists and ankles restrained. Hovering over the hermit was a large, muscular man, holding a large black metal rod with a red-hot coal stuck to the other end. The coal was aflame. If you thought the first one hurt, then I wouldn't want to see you have to deal with burning flesh. Scar squirmed helplessly, his eyes not leaving the man. But what if Sam is telling you the truth? Do you really think Stampy would tell him where he was going? He's in charge, of course he would, the second voice flung to a large man clutching Sam by the shoulder, pinning the boy down to his knees. Skizz could see bruises on the young boy's pale face. Sam's deep blue eyes didn't leave the table. That cat knows more than anyone how risky it is to go off without necessary protection. He has Squishy and the helpers, Sam said pointedly. Besides, he was fine enough handling stuff on his own before Mr. H showed up. Sure, the man scoffed, nodding over at the second man. Skizz could see 4 other men standing around. One of them was tending to a furnace, a bright yellow flame licking the wooden logs he threw into it every so often. I'll ask you again, boy. Did the traitor tell you where he was going? You won't find him, Sam said defiantly. I don't know where he is, and neither does Scar, or the other kids. Only my aunt does, and she's not here either. Pity, the man sighed, shaking his head. I'm sure she would have loved to see her oldest nephew forced to watch the consequences of his actions. No. Green inhaled a sharp breath. Impulse grabbed him by the shoulder as the man nodded over at the second man looming over Scar. Skizz couldn't take his eyes off the flaming coal as a sickening feeling filled him. Scar squirmed again, speaking up. Isn't there a better way we can go about this? Why don't I tell you about the story where Stampy and I first met? I'm sure you'd like that story. Shut it, hermit, the tormentor growled, lowering the flaming weapon. Skizz tensed, looking over at Impulse, hoping for a sign, a signal to strike. Wait, Impulse's rang through his thoughts. Skizz swallowed back a sigh of annoyance. Seriously, you don't want to hear it? Or how about the party, when we celebrated capturing his target? I'm sure you remember that, Scar continued, his voice rising higher and higher as the flame drew ever more closer. Or the time I spooked Mittens when I crashed into a tree? You really don't have to do this. Then why don't you tell that boy over there to hurry up and spill? The man sneered. The flaming coal was inches from Scar's chest, singeing the front of his shirt. Advice. You might actually burst into flames. Green whimpered nervously beside Skizz. The older hermit reached out and took his hand, squeezing it firmly. Green looked back, his eyes wide as saucers. He looked like a rabbit ready to bolt. Hurting him will do you no good, Sam said calmly. You can even use one of Campbell's gadgets to read my mind, if you want. So you can feed us with more lies, the tormentor spat. Scar flinched from underneath him, as if he'd been slapped. Your friend here deserves what's coming to him, just like the girl. Are we talking about the right gem now? Scar smirked. Yet his green eyes were drenched in terror. She's doing just fine now, by the way. Hungry for revenge on the cowards who attacked her. Oh, Ellie, would you like to send a message for me then? The man's eyes shone in the flaming light. If you survives this, of course. Never underestimate a hermit, Scar said smoothly, raising his eyebrow. Or several. You might as well regret it. Oh, so you think your friends are coming to rescue you? The man snorted. My guess is that they've been locked up in that pitiful police station with our new little guardian upgrade. Do you ever wonder how the guardians trigger mining fatigue? Scar's eyes lit up. No, but do tell. I won't, the man sneered. It won't even matter anyway. Now! Liam shouted as Skizz watched the boy appear from the wall. Tackling the man, its fiery weapon flew out of his grasp. Scar gasped as Impulse, Green, and Skizz bolted in the room. Skizz ducked in time to avoid a fireball as it crashed into one of the men. Skizz followed Impulse to Scar's side, standing guard as Green frantically tried to remove the hermit's restraints. I knew you'd come, Scar said happily, smiling up at Green. Not just because I told you we would. Green smiled. That helped, Scar sighed as Skizz watched the scene unfold. 3 of the men were already down as Kate blasted down each target, occasionally missing and leaving a nice crater in the wall. The other 3 men were attempting to avoid Kate and Liam's attacks, one of them using Sam as a human shield, as the boy tried his best to squirm to one side or the other. It's almost like a dance. Get Scar out of here, Liam called to the trio from over his shoulder, charging at one of the men, knocking him against the wall as the man slumped limply to the ground. Oh, they're not going anywhere, a voice growled. Skizz gasped as one of the men appeared out of nowhere, grabbing the flaming coal, lunging toward the table. Skizz leapt forward, grabbing the metal rod, trying to yank it out of the man's hand. Skizz! Impulse cried, but Skizz didn't turn around as he glared up at they're technically the same height, as the man attempted to rip the weapon out of the hermit's grip. I've got it, Skizz grunted, stepping forward to get better balance. Just go! Skizz, above you! Green insisted. That's a new one. Skizz felt the air above him as he looked up, yelping as he saw a 7th man across his uniform hurling towards him, a large mace in his hand, ready to swing. Skizz dove out of the way, rolling to his feet as they heard a scream behind him. He whirled around, half expecting one of his friends to be at the man's feet. Instead, the man holding the flaming weapon had flown backward, letting go of the rod as it hurtled across the room. Impulse, Green, and Scar had flown backward from the pressure of the impact as Skizz's eyes widened in alarm as the man holding the mace smiled. Skizz's blood ran cold as the man turned his back toward him, facing the crumpled heap of his friends. Green and Impulse managed to entangle themselves as Green scrambled over to Scar, shielding him with his body as the hermit's eyes widened. Impulse rose to his feet, holding his gas blaster in hand. Put the mace down, Impulse warned, narrowing his eyes. A trickle of blood streamed down his best friend's nose as Impulse wiped it away. Or what? You'll shoot me? The man jeered, shaking his head. I found this old thing in one of your fellow YouTuber bases. Just toss aside like trash. That's a pretty neat enchant, I might add. He glanced down at the gleaming purple hue of the weapon. His eyes moved back toward Impulse before turning to Green and Scar, huddled behind the older hermit. You'll have to worry about 2 fireballs, then, Kate added, confidently, stepping toward the now to stand beside Skizz. Skizz could see Liam helping Sam to his feet, the older brother now free of his restraints. 1 move and you're dead. Oh, I suppose that means my next move should count. The man glanced over his shoulder at the young girl. What would you miss more, I wonder? Leave my friends alone. Kate narrowed her eyes, her voice thick with a threat. You're outnumbered. Ah, but even Gerald was outnumbered. He always had the last laugh. The man sneered, turning back to face the hermits. Your friend there suffered from immense pain since only bearable through consistent healing potions. Skizz could see the girl tense, anger in her eyes as she hesitated. The man didn't see the action as he leapt into the air, hurtling toward the hermits as a scream caught in Skizz's throat. Impulse fired a fireball directly at the man. The man didn't flinch as he was hit, only shifting his downfall as he hurled the mace past the older hermit as Kate screamed, firing her gas blaster, disintegrating the man as the ground shook under their feet. Skizz watching in horror as Green and Scar were knocked unconscious, trail of blood trickling down Green's most brown hair as he embraced his friend. Chapter 18. Let's go! The drama continues. Not really. The drama's pretty much done. No! Kate's scream broke through the silence as the girl dropped her weapon, riding past the floating items, falling to her knees beside the huddled forms of Green and Scar as she pulled Green away, rolling him onto his back, looking him over as tears filled her eyes. Impulse stood a few steps away, his eyes wide with shock as as Liam and Sam raced over toward them. Skizz spotted the mace lying a few feet away, his fat, rectangular head. I said it right the first time, it's just spelled weird. Yeah. It's just spelled weird. That's all. Firmly on the cobblestone floor as he clenched his fists, Liam fell to the girl's side, reaching for Green and Scar, checking for a pulse. They're alive, Liam whispered softly as Sam knelt beside him, nodding in affirmation. Mace missed them. You think if it was a direct hit? Kate choked out the words. Liam pulled the girl into a hug. Jumpers like that, probably. Sam frowned, staring down at the unconscious hermits. I would not be surprised if they suffered a concussion from a blast like that. How did he even jump that high? Impulse demanded. An extra bout of a jump boost, Sam replied. I'm not sure where he got that from, though. They'll be okay, Kate sniffed, looking over at the older boy. I believe so, Sam nodded, glancing over at the injury to Green's head. Anybody got a towel in regen? I get it. Impulse said quickly, pulling out his medical box and rummaging through, pulling out what the young man requested, handing it to him. Sam quickly doused the towel in regen, dabbing the injury a couple of times before it disappeared. Skizz frowned as he noted bruises starting to form on both Green and Scar's bodies. Whatever. I don't know what that sentence is. He looked over at Impulse, seeing a similar result. Shouldn't stay here, Liam said calmly, pulling away from Kate, helping her get to her feet. These men will wake up, and I don't want to deal with grumpy dudes, bitter that a bunch of kids beat them. A smile formed on Kate's face. Yeah. That's pretty cool, though, Skizz said encouragingly to the girl. You were unstoppable. Kate's face lit up. Really mean that? Of course, Skizz nodded, crossing the distance as he wrapped her arm around her shoulders. You kicked some serious butt today. The girl blushed, looking down at her feet. Thanks. Come on, I'll help you guys carry them out, Sam offered, leaning down and scooping Green into his arms. Impulse lifted Scar, cradling him carefully. You're not planning to go to school after all that, are you? Liam frowned, looking at his brother. Where else can I go? Our home is gone, the Stampy's left, and the school's the only other place where I ever felt safe. Sam sighed. We can see if one of the hermits can take you in, Impulse offered. Especially if you know you need it. They know you need it. You don't have to do that, Sam insisted. The school's in the safest place right now, Liam pointed out. Carl was hesitant to send Connor back there. That's why he went somewhere else. Connor? Sam's eyes widened. Liam hesitated before letting out a sigh. Right, I forgot. You missed out on a lot of revelations sort of stuff. No kidding, Sam agreed, nodding over at Skizz, as if proving a point, which kind of does prove a point. We'll tell you everything on the way, Kate offered, the panic in her voice long gone. Although we don't have a lot of answers. I've still yet to check your sample as well, Kate, Liam mused, winking at the girl. Is it done? She whispered hopefully. Should be, Liam replied, quickly, explaining to his brother a rundown of what happened as they headed toward the stairs. It didn't take them long to arrive at the entrance to the secret tunnel, finding Caleb, Blake, Aiden, and Aaron waiting for them. Liam begrudgingly reported what happened as the detectors stayed just a little bit closer to their charges on the way to the portal. Skizz didn't blame them as Kate began talking to Sam, sharing everything that Liam hadn't already brought up as Blake made a quick call on his communicator. After calling a few hermits, Blake finally arrived at an agreement was false, was willing to give the trio a safe place to stay until other arrangements were available. You really don't have to do this, Sam repeated, for what Skizz felt like the 100th time. I keep telling myself the same thing. And Liam nudged his brother gently. But that's just who these people are, Sam. They look out for their friends. Skizz smiled at the response, seeing Sam give a relenting nod, followed by a relaxed smile. The group arrived at the portal as Skizz paused. The sun was now inching toward the middle of the sky. They spent all morning on this mission. Was Tango already at the base, waiting for them? Or was Beat-Ups keeping him busy? What about Jem and Pearl? The other teens? Was everything still fine, or were there enemies at their door? Skizz pushed the questions aside. This was it. They would return home and get ready to fight whatever Dr. Redstone had for them. They would be ready. Wow. Telling me it's time for bed. No, it's actually just telling me to put on the ointment. After giving their farewells to Sam and the interns, Skizz and his friends flew back toward Hermit Fortress. Skizz looked over, seeing Blake and Impulse carrying the unconscious forms of Green and Scar as they neared the base. Skizz scanned the sky with his gaze, wondering if he would see any sign of helicopters in the air, or watchful eyes hidden in the lofty branches. He saw nothing as he landed beyond the walls, in front of the door as it swung open. Jem and Pearl poured out, tackling Skizz with a tight embrace before moving on to the others. Yeah. The others. There we go. What happened? Jem gasped, seeing the battered forms of Impulse, Green, and Scar. Impulse said nothing as he hung his head. Did you catch any baddies? Pearl pressed, glancing around them as if they'd brought pursuits. We had to leave the base, Liam said apologetically. We had to get everyone out of there. Lovely world is no more. That's horrible. Jem's eyes widened in horror. Is there nothing we can do? Stampy left. He has given the world its target, Liam shrugged. I suppose he thought it would be better for us. Maybe those traitors will calm down once they realize there's nothing they can do to hurt or punish him anymore. Jem nodded, her expression steady and firm. Well, if they do come back, they'll regret it. I hit some of them, Kate proclaimed, leaping into Jem's arms as the hermit laughed. I'm so proud of you, the YouTuber beamed. A hint of vengeance. All hint of vengeance watched away. Come on, we should get inside. I'm sure you're hungry after a long morning. I am. Kate pulled away, heading for the door when she froze in her tracks. Shadow stepped into the doorframe as a shiver ran down Skizz's spine, recognizing the man standing before them. His expression was cold and hard, glaring down at the girl with disappointment. The girl gasped. Dad? What are you doing here? Alas, that is what we're going to do. And end it there. Pretty much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't mind the background noise if you hear any. If you don't, that's fine. I don't mind. But yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next week for book 3, which we will have a perspective of a non-hermit or YouTuber, Caitlin Kimberly, the one and only. They're the reason, of course. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!